They were noisy, unreliable, and we adored them. Here are the British cars every family drove in the 70s and where they are now. 1. Ford Cortina. Let's start with the king of the 70s, the Ford Cortina. If you didn't own one, your neighbor did. The Cortina was the car of the people, company reps, dads in sheepskin coats, and anyone who wanted to look flash on a budget. It was everywhere, outside the chippy, at the seaside, and double parked outside the pub. Today, the Cortina is a rare sight, but when you do spot one at a classic car show, it's like seeing an old mate who's aged surprisingly well. Most ended up as rusty memories, but the survivors are cherished, polished, and worth a small fortune. 2. Austin Allegro. The Allegro, bless it, was famous for its quartic, squarish steering wheel and a shape only a mother could love. It was supposed to be the future of British motoring, but it ended up as the punchline to 1,000 jokes. Still, it was everywhere in the 70s, ferrying families to Butlins and back. Most Allegros have long since dissolved into the British weather, but a few brave souls keep them alive, showing them off at classic car meets where they get more laughs than a night at the Palladium. 3. Morris Marina. The Marina was a bestseller, but not because it was brilliant, mainly because it was cheap and available. It was the car you got if you couldn't afford a Cortina, and it was famous for its character, read breakdowns. The Marina is now a cult classic, mostly because so few survived. If you see one on the road today, you're either at a classic car show or you've traveled back in time. 4. Mini. Classic. The original Mini was already a legend by the 70s, zipping through city streets and starring in The Italian Job. It was the car for everyone, students, mums, and even the odd bank robber. The Mini's charm was its size, its cheeky looks, and the fact you could park it anywhere, sometimes sideways. Today, the classic Mini is a collector's dream, with clubs, rallies, and more Union Jack roofs than you can shake a stick at. And let's not forget Mr. Bean, proving you could fit a sofa, an armchair, and a week's shopping on the roof if you really tried. 5. Vauxhall Viva. The Viva was the sensible choice. Practical, affordable, and about as exciting as a cup of tea. But it was everywhere, and for many families, it was their first taste of freedom. Most Vivas rusted away quietly, but a few have been lovingly restored by enthusiasts who remember when Viva meant more than just a dodgy musical. 6. Triumph Dolomite. The Dolomite was the sporty saloon for those who wanted a bit of class without breaking the bank. The Sprint model was a proper little rocket, and it looked the part too. In the 70s, it was the car for young execs and anyone who fancied themselves as a rally driver. Today, Dolomites are sought-after classics, especially the Sprint, and you'll find them gleaming at car shows, still looking ready to take on the world, or at least the A-roads. 7. Hillman Avenger. The Avenger was the underdog, solid, reliable, and with a name that sounded like it belonged in a comic book. It was the car for families who wanted something a bit different, and it even had a rally pedigree. Most Avengers have vanished, but a handful survive, cherished by those who remember when Avenger meant more than just superheroes in spandex. 8. Austin Maxi. The Maxi was famous for its 5-speed gearbox and its ability to swallow an entire family's luggage and half the dog if you weren't careful. It was practical, roomy, and about as stylish as a pair of flares. Most Maxis have disappeared, but a few remain, usually owned by people who appreciate a car you can fix with a spanner and a bit of hope. 9. Ford Capri. The Capri was the car you always promised yourself, and for good reason. It looked fast even when it was parked, and it was the dream machine for a generation of would-be playboys. The Capri was the star of the professionals, the car you wanted to be seen in, and the one you definitely didn't want your daughter dating. Today, Capris are classic icons, fetching big money and turning heads wherever they go. If you see one, you know the owner still thinks they're Bodie or Doyle. 10. Rover P6. The Rover P6 was the executive's choice. Luxurious, advanced, and with a V8 that could outrun most things on the motorway. It was the car for doctors, managers, and anyone who wanted to look important. Today, the P6 is a classic, loved by enthusiasts for its comfort and style. If you see one, it's probably being driven by someone who remembers when British engineering was something to be proud of. 11. MG Midget. The MG Midget was the sports car for the masses, tiny, nippy, and guaranteed to put a smile on your face. unless it rained, which it often did. In the 70s, it was the car for young drivers who wanted fun on a budget. Today, midgets are classic favorites, restored and raced by people who remember when driving was about feeling the road, not syncing your phone. 12. Jaguar XJ6, Series 1, 2, 3. The XJ6 was the height of British luxury, sleek, smooth, and with a purr that made you feel like royalty. It was the car for the well-heeled, the successful, and anyone who wanted to arrive in style. Today, the XJ6 is a classic, still admired for its looks and comfort. If you see one, it's probably at a classic car show, gleaming in the sun and making everything else look a bit ordinary. 13. Austin Princess. The Princess was, well, different. With its wedge shape and hydrogas suspension, it looked like it had driven straight out of a sci-fi film. It was roomy, comfortable, and a bit of a Marmite car. You either loved it or hated it. Most princesses have vanished, but a few survive as quirky classics, loved by those who appreciate a car that dared to be different. 14. Ford Escort, Mark I, Mark II. The Escort was the everyman's car, affordable, reliable, and with a rally pedigree that made it a legend. The Mark I and Mark II were everywhere in the 70s, from the school run to the RAC rally. Today, Escorts are highly collectible, especially the sporty RS and Mexico models. If you see one, it's probably being driven sideways through a forest or polished to perfection at a car show. 15. Reliant Robin. No list would be complete without the Reliant Robin, the three-wheeler made famous by only fools and horses. It was cheap to run, easy to park, and the butt of endless jokes. But for many families, it was their first car, and it got them where they needed to go, most of the time. Today, Robins are cult classics, loved by those with a sense of humor and a strong sense of balance. 16. Vauxhall Chevette. The Chevette was the hatchback for the masses, practical, cheap, and surprisingly fun to drive. It was the car for new drivers, young families, and anyone who wanted a bit of freedom without breaking the bank. Most Chevettes have rusted away, but a few survive, cherished by those who remember when Little and Lively was all you needed. 17. Triumph Stag. The Stag was the dream car for many, a V8 convertible with style and presence. It was the car for sunny days, country drives, and pretending you were in a Bond film. The Stag had its problems, mainly with overheating, but those who loved them didn't care. Today, Stags are classic icons, restored and loved by enthusiasts who remember when driving was glamorous. 18. Hillman Imp. The Imp was the underdog, small, rear-engined, and surprisingly advanced for its time. It was the car for families who wanted something different, and it had a loyal following. Most Imps have disappeared, but a few survive, loved by those who appreciate a car with character. 19. Morris Minor. The Minor was already a classic by the 70s, but it was still a common sight on British roads. It was the car for teachers, vicars, and anyone who wanted something reliable and unpretentious. Today, Minors are classic favorites, restored and driven by people who remember when cars had personality. 20. Ford Granada. The Ford Granada was the executive's choice in the 1970s, a big, comfortable saloon that looked right at home outside any office or hotel. It was the car for managers, sales reps, and anyone who wanted to show they'd made it. With its plush seats, wood-effect dashboard, and a boot big enough for a family holiday, the Granada was a motorway cruiser par excellence. Today, surviving Granadas are rare and highly prized by classic car fans, often turning heads at shows and reminding everyone of the days when company car meant something special. These were the cars that filled our streets, our driveways, and our memories. They were noisy, unreliable, and sometimes downright odd, but they were ours. They took us on holidays, to football matches, to the seaside, and back home again. They broke down, they rusted, and they leaked oil, but they were part of the family. Today, most of these cars are gone, scrapped, rusted away, or replaced by something safer, faster, and more efficient. But for those who remember, nothing will ever replace the feeling of a Sunday drive in a Cortina, the thrill of seeing a Capri roar past, or the simple joy of squeezing the whole family into a Mini. Which 70s car do you miss the most? And what's your favorite memory from the driver's seat? Share your stories, because some cars are too special to ever be forgotten.